Hey, what we're doing here is taking a piece of cardboard. We're going to cut the profile of an animal out of it, and we're doing a project we're calling Chatty JawFace. And I took a scrap, made it look like it's got some sunglasses on, and I'll show you how to give it a little finger mover so that you can have one just like this. So let's get started. Now the first thing we need to get is a profile on a piece of cardboard. You can freehand it. You don't have to do anything fancy. If you're a student in my Innovative Arts class, you could be tracing it on the floor. There's a few projectors around. Just make sure you tape your paper down. Or the other options are the drawing machines that are on the room. The next step is to cut it out. Now we have these cardboard cutters. We also have those scissors that are around the room. But if you're using these, make sure you don't end up sawing into your finger. That's about the only way you can cut yourself. And it does happen. I've got gloves available. So let's figure out where we want to cut here. It doesn't have to be precise. And you probably don't want to go back too far unless you want to be kind of funny about it and make just a gigantic one. But let's just go back a little ways and I'll cut this out. There I have a mark of where I'm going to cut. These will cut really nice as long as you're not in too big of a hurry and you just sort of slowly take it. So there's our jaw. We need to start looking at how do we want it to move. So do we want it to have a movement like this or a movement more like that? I think somewhere in the middle is where I'll end up. Well, the way we make it move is with popsicle sticks. Now, safely getting a hole into a popsicle stick is something we do in Innovative Arts class already. And this is actually one of the popsicle stick engineering projects. Let me show you. This is one of the basic movements. You can see it right about here. This is one of the spinning projects. And if you want to get good at popsicle stick engineering, keep going on these. They get pretty complicated and intricate. But anyway, back to this project. I've flipped it over, and the first thing I need to do with my popsicle stick with a hole drilled in it is decide where I want that pivot to be. It looks different having the pivot right here. So this is what the mouth kind of moves like. But if I move the pivot way over here, now it kind of moves differently. If I can do this, it moves more like that. So I just have to find one that I like. I'm not sure I like. Oh, that's kind of fun. In the middle here, maybe. I'll go right here in the middle. Now the trick to getting this to pivot nicely is to not get any hot glue on this stick by itself. This is going to be held in place with a little cut-up skewer. And the first thing I think I want to do is just get a little mark where that hole is going to be. This hole doesn't need to be here. That's just extra. So I have a mark here. And I think to get it really strong, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some hot glue in that hole I just made. That's a really nice first step. I'm going to put a little bit of extra and like a line of hot glue, because what I have here is another popsicle stick. This is just a scrap from another project that I'm just going to glue right on the back of this head. Now what's happening is that this popsicle stick is really well connected to this piece of cardboard, and it's really well connected to this piece right here. So now this piece isn't just being held on to by this little tiny section of cardboard that I was touching before. It's being held on to by this great big popsicle stick that I just glued down. There's no glue on top of this, so when I stick this stick back on here, I haven't gotten any glue on there at all. So it can still spin freely. The number one mistake kids make at this point is that they end up gluing the piece that moves down. All right, so the last thing is I don't want it to fall off, and I want to be able to move it without it worrying about it ever slipping off. So I've got another scrap popsicle stick here. It doesn't have to be this big. We could cut this down. But just to keep it in place really nicely, I'm going to glue this whole stick down to the cardboard and to that other popsicle stick. And I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on top of this, just for added measure. So this stick didn't get any hot glue on it in that whole process. Okay, all the hot glue went below it or on top of this last stick that I just put on here. so it can move as freely as it likes. Now I'm gonna put my finger on here and make sure it, oh, see that kind of rubs right there. So I'm gonna either trim, take a scissors or whatever and cut, or in my case, I'm just gonna leave a little gap there. And so hot gluing this down. Once again, I only want to get hot glue on the pieces that I'm putting together, and I want to get that glue in between those pieces. Do you see how I didn't pour any hot glue over the top? Pro tips on hot gluing. So there is the mouth movement. Now I said I'd show you how to get a finger action, and so to do that, we really just need to extend the popsicle sticks off to the side somehow. Kind of wish I had more behind here that I could grab on here. It's okay. I'll just put a stick onto here, and I'll make it extra long so that it can reach all the way over to the other side. So I'm gonna only put hot glue on top of this stick, because now this whole thing is going to be moving, and I want to keep it a little bit away from everything else. And I'll put some hot glue on this stick as well. We're going to get these together, let them cool off. This is how I'm going to move this little guy. And if you'll notice, this is not very strong right here. If I want to make it stronger, I'm going to make a little triangle right here to here with just a little scrap of hot glue, popsicle stick. Because now this piece and this piece are really well connected. I didn't get any glue on the piece that stays still or the cardboard. And here is the motion I have. Okay. Now you can see on the other one, I could move it with just my finger. Here's what it looks like on the other side. There's a loop right here that my finger can fit into and push up and pull down. Now if you finish this thing early and you want to extend it, we could always put a spring right here, maybe pulling up, so that your mouth will always spring shut. That's a good option if you finish early. And if you're doing the designer option, I want you to take your time and do a nice job customizing this thing. So I hope you had fun with this project. This is both the engineer and designer first project. The designers, we focus more on contrast and making the front look good. Engineers, we do extra on the back side. So Innovative Arts class, it's awesome. I'm excited to see what people make, and have a great day.